This past year marked the 20th anniversary of Pokémon. Being one of the best examples I can think of for being more than a game, Pokémon has been with me for a large majority of my life, helping to shape me into the person that I am today. For me, my love for Pokémon all started with Pokémon Blue on the Game Boy Color. I remember I instantly fell in love with the way it played, and just how fun it was to catch and collect the different Pokémon I encountered along the way. I was actually so young at the time that I didn't know how to read, so my dad would be the one to sit next to me and read the words on the screen out loud so that I would know what was going on. There would even be times where I would call him from our house phone, asking him when he would be leaving work so that he could read for me what to do next and I could continue on my journey. I know it seems like such a little thing, but it meant a lot to me growing up. As exciting as it was discovering the world of Pokémon for the first time, my first few years being a Pokémon fan were actually quite lonely. Being an only child, not yet old enough to start school, meant that I didn't really have anyone to share my experiences with. Other than my parents coming to play with me every now and then, I just didn't know anyone that shared the same interest in Pokémon that I did. A few years went by and my love for Pokémon only grew. I had as many games as I could get my hands on. Pokémon Snap, Pokémon Stadium, Pokémon Puzzle League, even the newly released Pokémon Silver. And that's not to mention all the Pokémon cards, toys, and other merchandise I had collected. This was also around the time I started elementary school. It was so awesome to see other kids my age almost as obsessed as I was with Pokémon. I remember there being a small group of kids during recess that would sit in a circle and just play Pokémon. Whether they were trading cards, battling each other in the games, or admiring each other's card collections, their group was there every single day. I eventually made my way into that circle and it felt really great because I could finally share my love for Pokémon with other kids who felt the same way. Then middle school rolled around, and while I wish I could say that group of friends lasted forever, things just didn't turn out that way. It felt as if one by one everyone disbanded from the group because they felt that Pokémon just wasn't what was considered cool anymore. At the time, I couldn't really piece together why they would just abandon something that they had previously been so passionate about. But now that I'm older, it's easier for me to see that sometimes people are just looking for approval and ways to fit in with everyone else, even if that means hiding certain parts of them away from the world. As sad as it made me feel, I knew that I couldn't judge or even blame them for doing what they did, and continued being friendly regardless of how distant we became. It was such a stark difference going from being greeted with open arms to suddenly being shunned or even mocked simply for what I enjoyed doing. For quite a few years, I found solace in the Pokémon universe. It became so routine to come home and be surrounded by all of the familiar-faced characters every day that they began to feel like more than just characters. Ash, Misty, Brock, they all felt like dear friends to me, and my Pokémon all began to feel like my own little family that I had bonded with through generations of training. The Pokémon universe quickly became a place where I felt I belonged, and somewhere that I could go to for when I felt like I needed an escape from the real world. Eventually, I stumbled across the internet, and my need for an escape went away, as I quickly discovered that there were plenty of people just like me who genuinely love Pokémon. I guess that could be part of the reason why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. To have my own little circle that anyone can join and not feel judged or embarrassed for liking the things that they do, much like that small circle of kids did for me on the playground all those years ago. I owe a lot to Pokémon for teaching me quite a few valuable life lessons over the past 20 years, but perhaps the most important one I ever learned was to be the best you that you can be. You should never feel ashamed for liking the things that you do, because that's what makes you, you. You shouldn't feel like you need to hide certain parts of yourself away for the sake of anyone else, because there are people out there who would love to share those interests with you. Now go out there and be the best you that you can be, and just know that there is a place for you in this world. I promise. In short, thank you, Pokémon. Thank you for all the great games, movies, anime episodes, and wonderful, wonderful memories you've given us over the past 20 years, and here's to 20 more.